Does your house look like this? Well, by the end of this video, it'll look something like this. So I hear you all saying, Darren, how the hell are we gonna go from a loser shack to something as grandiose as that house you showed us before? Well, it is actually very simple. All within the process. You see, in every single build, I go through a process of trial and error. To demonstrate this, I will show you my process of trial and error completely. So, first off, I like to use what's in my environment around me. It's just so easy to do it that way because one, you have everything around you, and two, it just looks better overall. It looks like it blends in. The good idea is to use whatever's around you to your advantage, such as I have a oak and birch forest around me, right? And if you saw how I came in, you'll see that there's spruce wood over here. So I've easily accessible spruce wood and oak wood, right? And any of the stone types. Now I commonly use cobblestone because I personally think cobblestone looks amazing. To be honest, it is literally one of the best building materials you can get your hands on, not gonna lie. So, rule number one, find a flat area. Or, if you're going for a multi-story house, find a hilly area. As you saw in my little house that I built, I have multiple stories to it. On the outside, I have 3 stories, but on the inside, I actually have like 4 or 5. Weird, huh? Well, I dug into my environment, so I was able to get my hands a little bit dirty with how I wanted everything laid out. Because the interior of a house is just as important as the exterior. However, interiors are going to be a completely different video. So stay tuned for that. So as a suggestion, I'd say subscribe, hit that bell so that you know whenever I post this next video. So as you see, we have completed objective 1. Create a clear area to build on. I'm going to build a simple home here, nothing too advanced. Super simple, super sweet. Anything you can build. So, as I said before, I have the resources that are abundant to me. I can use birchwood. I just personally don't like using birchwood unless it's a stripped log area. I always like to start off with the foundation, right? So, I like to create a framework. Creating a framework allows you to identify where each part is going to be of the building. Like right here, for example, I have a lake. So what I can do is I can actually build out a dock right here, like that. And here we go. It's a quite interesting shape. You see, when you build something with an interesting shape, it overall just looks 10 times better. Now what I like to do is I like to have a nice frame going throughout my builds. Like right now, I'm putting a frame all the way around, which allows me to identify each corner. It allows me to point out like where each objective part of the build is. Now, you are going to come across scenarios where this will happen, right? You can't really get this corner because there's docker right here. So you have 2 options. You can either put the log 1 block forward, which looks just as fine, or you can remove the dock. I guess not remove the dock, but move the dock in a little bit, such as this. And this will allow you to move the bar. This will allow you to move the log a little bit more forward, and it makes it look a little bit more uniform. Personally, I go for either or. Either or is just fine for me. So now we are at an awkward point where you can't really build in that extra amount. So I'm actually going to go ahead and fix that by just doing this. And just like that, fixed. You see, when you build your basic frame, your basic outline, you're gonna have to move some things around, most likely. So now that we have a good frame and a good outline going, next we need to figure out our palette colors, right? Like what we're gonna use for each block. So we already have the dock established, right? Oak logs with oak planks. It looks like a simple dock. It looks like it belongs here. So I was thinking about carrying the oak theme all the way inside, as you see here. So what that means is that you cannot use oak for anywhere else besides the flooring now. Okay. Well, sorry. You cannot use oak planks anywhere else besides the flooring. So now we have the option of spruce logs, stripped spruce logs, or stripped oak logs for our walls. Okay, we can't use oak logs, like non-stripped oak logs, because we already have those for the frame. And personally, I like the stripped spruce logs the best. However, you can actually use just normal planks if you want. Either way, it works just fine. It essentially has the same color. It's just the stripped spruce logs are a little bit more interesting. They add a little bit more of an interest to the eye. The eye really wants to look at them. Like, oh, hey, there's a pattern there, blah, blah, blah. Instead of just like straight lines, it's a nice variance overall. Now, as you see here, our walls look super plain, super simple. Nothing too detailed about them. Well, I'm about to change that here in a moment. But first, I want to go ahead and figure out what we're going to do for the ceiling or the roof. So as you can see, our house is a quite weird shape. So I like to plan out my roofs. So I'm going to grab what my roof material is going to be. I'm going to use cobblestone again. Thing is that cobblestone is a bit of an exception to the rule, because you can use cobblestone for your floor and for your wall if you want. It won't look like it's really supposed to. Of course, it's raining. But using cobblestone for the roof and a cobblestone for the walls, or I guess for the bottom trim of the walls, it's perfectly acceptable. Now, if you notice what I'm doing here, I'm not carrying this lip around. I want this clear separation right here. All right, so I'm going to do that instead of carrying it all the way around. So now I can put that there. Now, some you people who know how to do geometry would realize that this isn't gonna quite equal out, and you are correct. This will not equal out. However, good thing is that I don't need it to equal out, because then we can have a little bit of an interest to the building. You see, I don't actually plan to carry this roof all the way up. See, as you may have noticed, I'm actually breaking the roof into multiple different peaks, which adds a lot of interest to the build. So I can do this, break these out, put that guy there, and then what that allows me to do is fill this in up here, cobblestone. This A saves on materials, okay, because cobblestone's super easy to get. Wood, not as easy unless you have a farm for it. But B adds a little bit of a area up here you can use to, you know, put a nice balcony or something like that. Now, some of you may have noticed, I'm not showing you all of my tricks. As you saw in the building before, there's something quite off about it, about like how the depth works in it. That's like a little bit of experimentation, because I got lucky with some of the ways that Minecraft likes to work. But if you want more tips like that, then go ahead, hit that bell, subscribe, so that you can be notified every time I upload a video, because who knows, maybe I might post my secrets. I want to head inside of against the balcony idea, because I figured this right here would be a lot cleaner than the balcony, because this is quite a big balcony to have. Now, as you see here, I have this peak and this peak here, which adds a good amount of interest to the build. But this looks kind of ugly, right? Well, I'm about to show you how to fix that. What you do is you find the slab variant of your roof, and you just place slabs down, and it blends everything together. Just like that. Makes it look a lot cleaner. So now, as you may have noticed, we don't quite have an odd number here. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to make two different peaks. This will add a lot of interest to your build. Everyone's going to look like, how the hell did he do that? Everyone's just going to be kind of amazed by your building ability. Now what we can do is we can actually wrap this guy around just like that. Now it just so happens that all these peaks line up fairly well. Now one thing I want to point out here is I'm adding depth by just putting this block in one. Like if I were to have it like this, it would look kind of weird. So just adding depth like that, it adds a real nice kind of like feel, almost like it's really supporting the entire roof up. Now, it just so happens that everything lines up a little bit too perfectly. Now, as you can see here, I keep adjusting my door because I want it to be centered with one of these peaks, just so it has like that nice appeal to it. So as you see here, our roof is essentially complete, but you might notice that right here just doesn't look quite right. Well, think of it this way. If two peaks converge like this, that means all the water that hits the peaks is going to run off into this little cauldron area and get flooded down to here. So usually you would want to leave the frame there. However, in this case, you want the frame to be gone so that the water can run off. As you see here, the roof looks fairly normal. However, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a bit of a, let's just say a roof over top of the dock. It's almost like a back porch or something. And here we go. Here's the roof done. The roof already adds a lot of interest into your build, right? It's like when you look at the roof, you're like, holy crap, this roof is insane. How did he do this? Now, what I like to do is I like to go around, find spots that look like they would be supported, right? Because this is an extremely long roof coming out. So just by supporting these spots out here, what you actually get is the sense of depth that is kind of just like hinting at depth instead of like directly punching you in the face with it. It's more of like, oh, hey, by the way, this would be supported because it's so long out. Like back here, it doesn't need it because it's like right there. Over here, it'll need it just a little bit. So I'm just going to add some in. And another point here, if you have something going like into water as like a support beam or something like that, do not under any circumstances do this. Just like have it on grass blocks. That's not going to support crap. You want it to look as realistic as possible. And if you're talking about realistic, it's not going to have a support block or a dirt block supporting it. That's just not going to happen in any scenario. Now, as you see, I tried to stay away from chopping down any foliage as I could, besides like the trees in my way. I did that for good reason. The foliage is already naturally generated, so if it's already there, why would you really harm it? It just adds more detail to the build. As you can see on the inside, doesn't look too pretty. However, once again, this will be in another video. Go check that out once it's posted. So you have the exterior somewhat roughed out. So now you have the roof roughed out to a fair point. So now we need to step on to detailing the outside. As you see here, that alone added something to the entire build. That it added like an extra oomph to it, like an extra level. If you just go around your build, fix up any patchy work you might find. If you go around your build and you just add little things like this, and in this case, this is over top of water. Bam, cobblestone there. It adds a bit of a support feel to it. Or you want to go one step further, add that there. That doesn't look quite as good as just the cobblestone there, in my opinion. In this case, you can probably just hide it and then just keep going along. See how there's dirt here and gravel? Get rid of that, place cobblestone. There's sand there, break that, cobblestone. There we go. That alone added a whole new level of depth to the build. Next, what you're going to want to do is go around and just find spots that could have that extra level of detail in them. Like this right here, you don't want this. So what I'm going to do, right, is I am going to add slabs all across the outside of the building. This not only strength, actually no, I'm only going to add slabs right here. This is going to give the illusion there's some depth here. In all reality, it's just a slab. I mean, I guess it is kind of depth, but it's just a slab. See, what you don't want is something like this happening, where like two surfaces meet at the same level. You always want a different level of surfaces meeting. Like here, two different levels, different levels, not different levels. So now we can go along here, fix that like that. Not different levels. We can go along here and fix it. That should be all of the levels fixed. So now we can move on to windows. So I'm just going to destroy everything in my hotbar and find some glass panes. I personally like using colored glass panes. You don't have to use colored glass panes. It can be just normal glass panes if you want. But adding a little bit of color into the mix adds a whole nother level of feeling. I like to use light gray or white stained glass. I see that black is a little bit too harsh. There's light gray. Here's white. White really only goes with like stone colors. It adds a little bit of a pop. So I'm going to use light gray for that section. You always want to dig your windows from the outside. Here's normal glass. See, normal glass looks just as well as white glass. Now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to add white glass there. But I'm not going to put white glass here because this would just look kind of awkward having white glass there. So now we're right here. Now I can put some right here. See, by adding your windows from the outside, you automatically know that they look good from the outside. Then you can adjust your inside in the way you need to get it to look good. Blank walls like this are great for having windows. And I like to have as many windows as possible in my build because what happens is it adds some skylight into the build, or I guess just outside light into the build that you wouldn't normally get. It gets that feel of, oh, it's a wide open space. Everyone likes to be in there. I can't put a window here because it just looks awkward, and this right here's a corner piece. So what I can do is I can add, okay, so I can't add a window here because it would be too awkward compared to this. See, actually, that doesn't look too bad. Never mind, I don't like it. A lot of building is just messing around, trying to figure out what you like and what you don't like. It's just trial and error. So if you look at the house from the outside, it looks fairly normal. Glass in there. Everything looks fairly normal. Looks like a nice house that you would see any pro Minecrafter building in or living in. Go in, pretty spacious, plenty of light from the outside. Could use a little bit of light, of like interior light. So I'm just gonna do this. And here we go. Your house looks absolutely amazing. See, one of the key features of any house is how it looks at night. Because if a house looks super cool at night, then it has to be super cool in the day as well. But hey, that's going to be a completely different video of how to light up your house to make it look absolutely amazing. Stay tuned to check that out. Anyways, guys, I hope all of you have learned from these exterior tips. I will be going more in depth with different ways of renovating your exterior in another video. Anyways, guys, I'm Zarin. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment down below what the most useful tip of today was. Peace.
They tell us lies and fair.